All right. Good morning, co-banker George. Thank you for coming to the training today. Today we have Michelle going over the violations of the MLS. This is a very important session because I know that a lot of agents get in trouble with the MLS violation, and the penalty are very stiff. And then it's very easy to get violations, but and also the MLS is making it really a duty for them to find out the violation and penalize you. And it can be very expensive. Some of the violation can be like $1,000. If you don't correct it in a couple of days, the $1,000 is down the tube. You won't have any chance to even appeal. So it's very important, and we have periodic training on this violations of the MLS. So with that, Michelle, just take it away.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Welcome everybody and good morning. I'm going to do my screen share. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to go over the top MLS rules and violations, because if you ever downloaded the rule book, it's like 57 pages long. So what the MLS did is they made a attachment here of the top violations and how to avoid them. So we'll go over these. And I just want to say that our front desk who inputs the listings in Arcadia and Alhambra, they know to look for things to avoid violations. So if they ask you or mention something to you, it's because they know it could cause a fine. For instance, some fines, as Peter said, are 1,000 or 1,500, and it's very hard to get out of those. You do need to pay them or you won't have access to the MLS. So let's go over the top violations so we can all input, and not have any problems with this. So the exterior photo requirement, when you enter your listing into the MLS, you do need at least one photo depicting a substantial portion of the exterior of the property. So some people are doing commercial, and you may have a shot of the project just overall. That would be fine. Sometimes we'll go and take just the front door of the unit and add that in as well. But an overall shot depicting, the exterior of the property is fine. So to avoid that violation, make sure that you are adding in one compliant photo or rendering of the exterior of the structure. And for business opportunities, it's not a requirement. Now, this doesn't have to be in line in the first photo of your MLS, but you do need to have it in there. Okay, so make sure that you're putting one photo in to avoid that violation. Branded photos. Make sure that any of the photos that you submit to the front desk does not have any embedded names in them or information related to the agent or a virtual tour or whoever took the copy of took the photo. Make sure there's no names that show on that or are embedded in. That's what the branding is. So it's an inclusion. They're going to explain to you that it's an inclusion of any content in your media that can be used to identify any person or entity. So make sure if you use pictures that the photographer or whoever you're using does not embed anything about their company or their name in there. Most of the photographers that we hire already know that, but that's just a tidbit for you. So how you avoid this violation is you cannot have any agent, broker, or brokerage names or logos on the photo, phone numbers, website addresses, anything like that. You should not be showing any for sale or lease sign, billboards, open house signs, or anything like that. Please do not include a copy of a person in the picture. We've noticed we've had a couple of them where you're shooting a picture in the bathroom and you're clearly shown in the mirror. So that would have to be removed. So if you're shooting, kind of stand off to the side and don't put yourself in the mirror because we won't be able to use that photo. No pictures of animals unless it's in relation to the property, things of that nature. So when you're taking your pictures, again, make sure you're not showing up in any mirrors. Also, on glass doors at commercial properties, sometimes your reflection is in there. So I'm always careful for that. And if I have to stand to the side, I'll stand to the side. Copyright issues. Please don't use photos that you've downloaded from the internet that does not belong to you. If you did not create it or own it and you upload it to the MLS, that could cause you a fine. So you would need written authorization from whoever the content creator was. So if you want to obtain written documentation from the content creator, CAR has a property images agreement form that you can have them sign. Now, if you are using a photographer like Shumay and I do, almost weekly we see him, you can have the property images agreement ready for him. We've known that this photographer so long that we don't have a problem, but make sure that you have that form available for your photographer to sign and just keep it in your file. Okay, description of the violation. This is called Rule 11.5. When you use, hi, welcome, thank you for coming in. When you use photos from the MLS that was previously listed, even if it's our own, even if it's our own Coldwell Banker, those photos that were previously loaded onto the MLS do have watermarks. You're not allowed to reuse them. Please get the original photos because that one is about a $1,500 fine. So don't reuse photos from the MLS, even if it's in-house, it was our listing. Please use the original photos so that you avoid that fine. And make sure you're not using any watermarked photos from the MLS. Get the original photos. So if you are not the owner or creator of the media, you need to obtain sufficient written authorization from the rightful owner to use that before posting it. And right here, it's telling you to avoid those double watermarks, get the original photos because they do go through and look for that kind of stuff. CRMLS does. So mandatory delivery of the listing agreement. If you have a listing agreement and you do not enter it into the MLS as a live listing or registered within 2 days of the effective list date, that is a violation. So make sure that you're entering those right away. We have wonderful staff that will assist you in getting those entered. You just need to fill out the MLS form. So just make sure that you're having help with that. If you have any question on how to fill out the MLS form, come and ask. We're happy to help you with that. So this violation will also occur when a property is being publicly marketed, but you do not have it entered on the MLS as active. So make sure that if you have the listing agreement that you're turning it into the front desk and they will go ahead and enter it into the MLS for you. Misuse of public remarks. There's prohibited information or verbiage that you cannot place in any public remarks field. So these may not include, so we can't have any contact information of any kind on public fields on our input, branded content, links to external websites of any kind, even the property, showing instructions or open house information. What else? Information deemed to create an unsafe or unsecure circumstances related to the property. This one I want to stop just a minute because if I have a house that is vacant, I might be a little bit hesitate to publish that. So sometimes I'll put tenant occupied, maybe the tenant just moved out. So in your private remarks and public, of course, I would strongly suggest you don't put vacant there. You can, you can click that it's vacant, but I wouldn't be writing about it even in the private remarks. For me, I just avoid doing that, okay? So inaccurate information. This one, I did talk to Arcadia. This has come up a couple of times. When you enter the information on the MLS, when it goes into escrow, it's going to be updated. And sometimes that date, as we all know, moves. So you need to update the office that the close date is going to be a different date, because if you don't update a pending or active under contract status, that can auto close, and that is a violation. And they give you so many notices. They're going to send you an email 14 days prior to close to the listing, to the agent, 7 days prior and 1 day prior on your estimated close date. So make sure you're paying attention to any notices you're getting from CRMLS. And if you know that the close date is going to move a few days, make sure you're updating the office so that the MLS can be corrected to avoid those auto sold statuses, because that can cause a violation. So when you get a violation from the MLS, that violation is handled or paid for by the agent. So we do everything here as a company to make sure that everything's input properly and those types of things. But if you get a violation, that will be the agent responsibility. So I would also like to say that when your listing is input into the MLS by the company, please go back and read the listing, look at it thoroughly, look at all the pictures, make sure it is the way that it needs to be. And then if there's any changes or corrections, notify the front desk or the person inputting right away on the corrections, okay? So failure to provide written documentation. So this violation occurs, and if the MLS asks for documentation on your listing, you need to have it available. So you can avoid receiving a citation like this by adhering to the rules and making sure that you have all your listing documentations in a place you can easily access them. And what's good here is that we have SkySlope. So make sure you're turning in any update, any amendments, anything on your listing to the office, and we can put it into SkySlope, or I believe you can, and make sure that you have all of your listing documentation in SkySlope. And if you keep your own file in your own file as well. Another thing about SkySlope is you can take all of your emails on a property, print them out, or, you know, digi-save them on your computer, and you can upload those into SkySlope and just leave them there so that you have a complete set of documentation. All of your emails can be put into SkySlope and left there so that it is part of the record. That'll make things easier, so you're not going through hundreds of emails if you needed to find something. Just get in a habit of downloading it into your SkySlope system. And I am going to go into another document. Okay, is there any questions? Okay, is Anna on the call? Okay, I'm going to go into the residential input form. So this form, and for any of the input forms, you'll see here, there's asterisks. So make sure that you're providing all of the asterisk, information, because if Denise or the Arcadia, Therese, has to, keep calling you and getting you the information, it will slow your process down. So make sure that anything that has an asterisk, that you are at a minimum filling that out and providing on this form. So you'll see them all over the form. So I downloaded this from CRMLS so I could get it in color for you, but you're going to see it. You can even fill this out. If you download it from CRMLS, you can type on this form. It's a fillable form. And then, yeah, it's really nice. And then down here, make sure that you notice that the seller initials each page. Come down, and so you can autofill all of this out. And anything that you see that's asterisk, and of course you need to provide a description, you need to fill it out and turn that in. Also, when you turn this in to the front desk, please turn in your listing agreement, your disclosures, and your photos. So it's all in at once, so they can get moving on this and create a SkySlope account. Okay, so we just wanted to go over that because sometimes these get turned in and there's not, you know, where these red asterisks are, they're not filled in. So pool features, there may be no pool, so it's just none. Okay, so make sure you're looking through this form and you know where those red marks are, asterisks, so you can fill it in properly. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have, so that, can you auto-populate that from the realist?
Okay, so Carlos Ruiz is asking if this form can be auto-populated. I am not sure,
Yeah, that's,
but I will check into it
Yeah.
because I know that we can, it's a fillable form. I don't know about auto-populating from Realist. I will check on that and we'll post that up in the next training. Let's see, are there any other questions? Or if any of the staff wants to jump in, you're welcome to. Okay, so this was a very brief training. I can't, oh, Anna's here, so I'm gonna let her take the control for a minute. And this was a brief training, but it's really important because we want to make sure that you all understand to avoid violations, and we're going to help you out when you turn things in. So please cooperate with the ladies that are input the listing.
I have a comment regarding the violations.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, most of the violation has a warning notice. They send a warning notice to you. So you have a little chance to correct that. And when you receive that warning, you better do it as soon as possible because you only have 2 days period. You can correct that.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then that violation will become permanent, and it's very difficult to get rid of it. Okay, so you know, look at your email frequently, and then if you got a violation, correct it as soon as possible. Okay.
In regards to the fillable MLS input form, yes, it is fillable. You have it on our website where you could go in there and download it so it become fillable. You just save it with as a fillable one onto your computer, and just
Mhm.
remember to save as you're updating the information. We've noticed, yeah, when you guys submit listings, that some of them don't have all the information, and definitely it causes a delay because then Denise has to submit an email to you saying you need to provide the additional information. The other thing we've noticed is that a lot of times each page has to be initialed by your sellers and your as the agent too, as the listing agent. And then your last page has to be signed also by the listing agent and your sellers. And a lot of times when you guys submit the information or print and give copies to Denise, somehow you're missing the bottom part of that of the initial. It gets cut off. So you got to make sure that when you save it on your computer, that you save it to capture all the data on there. And again, if you need any help, I'm sure Denise or I could help you on that. But another thing we noticed is that sometimes we don't get a parcel number. We can't enter into the MLS without a parcel number. So you must provide a parcel number. Or it's going to be rejected and cause a delay on you to input it. The pictures, again, we would like 6 of them. One of them should be the front of the house. A lot of times prior to closing, I've had agents come and say, hey, the buyer doesn't want these pictures showing on the MLS. We have to leave at least one picture, and that picture has to be the front of the property of the house. So we can remove. But if you come to me after the fact, after it's been closed, there's nothing I could do anymore about it. Whatever's on there is going to show. So very, very important that if you want pictures removed prior to the closing, that you need to let me know. Let's see. For the property description, it is much easier that when you send Denise the email, that you either type it on the email or have a document attached with your description. Couple of things that it's sometimes hard to read. You might have beautiful writing, but could be a little bit difficult to read. And we want to make sure we put down what you put, or that we don't have to call and question you. So that's the best way to handle it, is just to type it on the email or do an attachment of the property description. And all we do is copy and paste right into the MLS system. That definitely will help a lot. The other thing, as a reminder, you should be getting your seller's disclosures done at the same time. And there could be a delay, and you can tell Denise there's a delay. I said, but you got to realize that, but you could get an offer, a quick offer, and you don't want to be scrambling, trying to get signatures and all that. You get them while you're still in that honeymoon stage, that they'll sign anything because they want to put their actual property on the MLS and so on. So prepare all your documents, have them all ready, especially your co-op banker addendum. You want to get that all done up front so you don't worry about later and start, later people start thinking about fees that they have to pay. And remember, the co-op banker addendum it's for everything that you utilize here at Co-op Banker, and you don't want to pay for it. So get them to sign for it. So then at escrow, at the time of closing, they'll go ahead and collect that, and it doesn't have to be deducted from you. So it's very important that you try to do as much as you can. Remember, order your prelim, order your NHD. If it belongs like in LA County and there's an inspection to be done, get it all done. You want to know if you're going to have any problems, and you want to try to clear them as soon as possible before you get an offer and you go into escrow. So it's very highly recommended that you do order your reports. They're not going to charge you. They only charge you if you close escrow. So the only exception would be the city report, but you got to do it anyways, and it's paid by your seller. So again, it's very, very important for you to get those documentations. Any questions?
I have a question. This is Sylvia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hi. A quick question. Michelle mentioned where to get this when you're doing the MLS input, or when you go into the MLS. Where do we get these forms from? If
You have it on Co-op Banker's website. We've created it fillable for you. So you would just go into the resources for the agent.
Oh, on the website. Okay.
Yeah, and then you click and say, okay, I want the MLS input, and then, okay, which one do you want, residential? And then you save it and as a fillable, and you're able to use it in, and you could type all the information in there. But again, I think Michelle mentioned that you could go into the CRM.
And it's there too.
And is there too.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the title is under, it's on the left-hand
Yeah,
side.
yeah, it's easy to find, and then those are fillable as well.
Got it.
So
All
you've
right.
got 2 places.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions?
Michelle,
Uh-huh.
can you send out the summary of the MLS violations to all the agents? So
Yes,
that
I
we have
can.
a handy
Yes.
Copy, you know.
Yeah,
It'd be
we'll
nice.
get that blasted out to everybody.
Yeah.
And if there's no further questions, we will be having training coming up for those of you that are working on commercial or learning commercial. We will be having a 2-part series on AIR forms for leasing, so that we will send out the dates ahead of time. We hope you show up in person. If not, we will still be running it as well on Zoom. But if you come in person, we'll have the contracts here. We'll also send it out before the class. We will be doing AIR training on the lease. That will be a 2-part series. And it'll probably be as long as the purchase AIR was. Maybe it'll run an hour and 20 each. Okay, so if there's any other questions, let us know. Otherwise, I'll let Peter take us off.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. It's a wonderful the session on the MLS violation. I think it's very beneficial, and hope with this will help the agents avoid the violation and avoid the penalties. Anyway, next week we'll have a training on the on IT from the IT person Ben. It will be on the topic of how to migrate your data or your Outlook email to your regular email, and how to migrate all the data of the Outlook into your new website. So it will be very, very beneficial and very important that please come to the training to next week. As I said, it will be handled or trained by our IT person, Ben. He's a very nice guy, very knowledgeable, and I'm sure that you'll like him. All right, then any more questions before we end the session? If not, then you guys have a nice weekend. I'll see you next week.
Have a nice weekend. Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Michelle. Thank you,
Thank you.
Anna.
Peter.
for-
Bye.
awesome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.